Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another installment of DC Alliance. This is episode 66, chapter 66. What do we call these things, Travis?
Chapter 67 for because
67. That's right,
you
because Snell was not paying attention when posting the last episode. He posted 65 twice as far as the numbering. This is actually chapter 67. Right out the gate, I'm already pushing some buttons here. By the way, I guess I should go ahead and tell you happy late birthday. And wasn't that a nice gift that I gave you, Travis? Wasn't it? I think it was. What about you, Hines? Do you think that was a pretty nice gift we gave him?
I hate to lose Clay. I've been thinking about it ever since it happened, to be honest with you.
You know what? I hate to lose also, but it's the gift that just keeps on giving, I think.
Well,
You know?
I'm not going to pretend that it didn't happen or that.
Oh, I'm not gonna
some
pretend it didn't
weird-
happen. It did happen. And it was a great birthday gift. He was so happy. He had a huge smile on his face with all the cake and the two belts. Bravo to him.
Unfortunately, I wasn't in on this gift, so this doesn't say much for me in my Rocket League play. I blew it. That's the case.
Snell, he will. This is water under the bridge already. He's already forgotten about it because that's just who he is. But I just want to remind him that I did give him that win. Anyway, let's go ahead and jump into all of this. We have very quick news. We kind of got excited over one and then it got shot down. I still think there's a possibility of it. We will get to it when we do. But we do have the GUA network plugs to just jump right into this. Of course, we have a plethora of shows every single day, almost every single day throughout the entire week. World's Finest True Believers, DC Alliance, Superhero Discussions, Ranger Alliance, Star Wars Alliance, Walk Through the Multiverse, and then, of course, Slice of Film with Marvel Alliance as well. We are getting really, really close to the release of Shang-Chi. I'm actually going to be able to watch that one on Thursday. I'm very, very excited. I'm going in early all week so that way I can get off a little bit earlier to walk my dog before I have to go sit down in the theater and everything. Really, really excited about it.
Question: Will the MA guys? I think Chris is in the chat. Will they be revealing who's guesting for the review on Wednesday's show?
I believe so. Of course, we have the Marvel Alliance guys will be going live Thursday night. Well, it's Wednesday. Wednesday dropping on Thursday. Well,
yeah.
Wait, is that right? No, because the review is still. Oh no, because is the review on Friday?
Yes.
I am so confused as of all of this. I thought it was on Saturday. I need to change my schedule again, but I think we should be okay if that is the case.
I'm pretty confident it's on Friday. My whole calendar is like Shang-Chi. two times I'll get to see it before.
I literally just told you guys. So Wednesday for What If drops on Friday, and then Friday night is the Shang-Chi drops on Saturday. That's what it is. So I just told you right before we started recording that I have to literally write down every single thing that I am doing every single day throughout the entire week to even get myself structure. It is absolutely insane. I am always on the move. And I am really looking forward to. Oh, you know what? No, I don't want to throw you into the woods, Hines. I was going to say, you know what? I'm off on everything on Monday.Maybe I should just toss DC Alliance to somebody. I'll give it to Snell, an extra birthday gift, so I can have a mental health day.
You got a day off, my friend. You kind of deserve it when you do 6 or 7 podcasts a week.
I am really excited about the end of the year because I don't have any school. It's like the winter break for all of college and everything else. I'm probably going to have a hiatus on all of my podcasts. And then all I will have to do is work and like at that point work is almost a vacation because I don't have to like really think about anything else, I'll probably casually read still, like I do everything else. I'll probably turn off most of my notifications so that way I can legitimately just like relax because my wife hates me for it, but I'm constantly on my phone like almost 24 hours a day. It's really bad. But enough of all that. We have all the shows, my bad scheduling. We also are ad supported as far as the network goes. If you wish to not listen to those ads, we do have a Patreon where these shows are ad free. So, of course, $1 is just supporting the show. $5, of course, is what keeps our lanterns charged. $5 a month will get you exclusive access to all of the shows that we have here ad free, as well as exclusive shows. Just recently, Joe, myself, and Chris talked about Substack, everything that's going on in the comic industry that is involved with Substack, and kind of made our predictions on if things will really change because of it. Now, we're not entirely sure. Even myself and Joe talked about it a little bit more afterward, and we were like, let's see in a year, and maybe something will change. If you want to hear all of our thoughts on that, go join the Patreon. So, there is the plugs. DC and Marvel also have separate feeds. I'm adding more and more to this as I go. So rate
It's
and
an adventure,
review.
Clay. It's an adventure.
I know. I feel like I'm like losing breath. I'm having to like, but of course, go rate and review all of the shows. On the GUA one, I would encourage you to specify some shows if you would like to give some feedback. For majority of the shows, we're okay with any kind of feedback. Honestly, we wouldn't mind reading them on the show if you actually want us to. So, send those reviews our way. So, let's go ahead and jump right into the news because it is very quick news, nothing too crazy about it. The big one is something that we will talk very vaguely about because of the way we feel about it. So Snell over here is about to have like 16 heart palpitations at the fact that the Batman has been seen by others other than him, and people have a lot to say about it already. Allegedly. Now, see, the thing was, it started to become like a meme within itself. People were, making jokes about seeing the screenings. And then I was scrolling TikTok and I started to see more and more people like with screenshots of Twitter accounts that I don't even know about that were claiming to see it as well. And a lot of people were saying a lot of positive things about it, but some things we're not going to share details because it is a little spoilery.
Yeah.
We will see another trailer for sure in 2 months, a little less than 2 months right now.
Yeah.
And I'm okay. Like, honestly, for myself, I understand that the general audience needs to be reminded and everything else. But with that first trailer, I'm good. Let's watch the movie. Like, I don't need to see anything else. Will I watch the second trailer? Of course. But I don't really need one. So, the reason why I'm not so crazy about these reactions to this screening, which, I mean, one thing that isn't really spoiler, the runtime is said to be about 3 hours. Now, I feel like that may be a first cut. Now, does it mean that it's not going to release in 3 hours? But just seeing it, hey, this is what our first reactions noticed about it. Is that a good thing? Is it a bad thing? They're trying to range all of that. So there's that. But the one thing, and I said this in our group chat that we have over the network, the one thing that bothers me about these reactions, it's not just the Batman, it's with every single superhero movie that comes out these days. People are like, it's the greatest thing since God created Earth. Like, oh my God, what's going to happen to the rest of the superhero movies after this one comes out? None of them are going to be great as this. Oh my God. And I'm just like, why? Why does, like, There's an eight, like we have come to the point where movies can no longer just be good or okay or great. They have to be the greatest of all time, diminishing everything else, like God itself, or it is the like dumbest shit ever. Like it has to be both extremes or none. Like I don't understand it.
Unfortunately, as listeners may or may not know, you're not really familiar with the sports ball world, and
No, I'm not.
this is front and center everyday crap for the sports ball world. Any new player that comes out is automatically, after a while, it does good, considered the greatest. Everyone that came before him is trash, not good anymore. And that's kind of the thing. You have scoopers, you have gossip, you have rumors, you have it's a real scene, but it's the way to generate views and clicks. And unfortunately, that's what this is. No different than um, you can't be like critical but positive. You got to either be glowingly positive or super negative to get any sort of traction with your reactions. So I think there's a lot of people that, because we'll talk about the Titans 305 episode uh, right now in a little bit, and all I saw before, like, I only watched that today, and all since Thursday, all I've seen is, holy crap, this is an amazing episode. This is the greatest episode of DC TV ever. Like people from sites are writing like tweets like, this is the greatest thing ever, and I'm just like, I enjoyed the episode, but like, can we roll the brakes back and just
I could
say
watch White
like,
Noise. Here's a little spoiler.
Watchmen?
Here's a spoiler for our review. I could watch White Noise and it would have been better than that episode.
Okay, well, I'm not in that camp, listeners. I'm a little bit less harsh than that. But I don't think it's the greatest DC TV episode I've ever seen. To be honest with you, like it's not even anywhere up there, because there's some things I don't enjoy, but there are some things to do. But we'll get into that after. But it goes back to Clay's point about, is either the best thing I've ever seen or this is trash. And it's just, can't we just enjoy these things? But this is the world we live in now. It's everything. Every new thing that comes out is the greatest. And everything before it was trash. It's like it all the time. it's rough, as Chris says.
Tell you,
You feel like.
here's the thing, okay? And I know Nathan's gonna harp on me saying that again. It's just something that I say on a podcast. I feel like I should have a shirt that says, "Here's the thing," but I am okay with being opinionated, and I think people should be okay with being opinionated. That is okay. I'm not saying that your opinions are invalid. I'm not saying that I don't care about your opinion. I think people should care about opinions. The problem of it is, I want to go ahead and walk back some of the things that I said previously on, I don't know if it was last episode or the episode before that. When I was talking about the gatekeeping of Superman and Henry Cavill and Tyler Hoechlin and all of that, the way I had described it, because I was kind of going very quickly through that whole discussion, there is a difference in gatekeeping and then giving your opinion. Now, with this, I just don't understand the point of saying, like, we are, for our comics corner, we're going to be reviewing right now Teen Titans Volume 1 Earth 1, right? I have it here. Never in my mind would I think, now that I've read this thing, there are no other Teen Titans books that exist except for this one. Like, that doesn't make any sense. Like, these characters are from somewhere. The whole point is that you build off of what we have received. Same thing for, most recently people getting hyped up about the Spider-Man and Batman trailers, right? Spider-Man is paying homage by introducing Tobey Maguire, allegedly, and Andrew Garfield, allegedly, into this multiverse of Spider-Man films, right? It is paying homage. But there's some people that still think that like Tom Holland is the only Spider-Man that has ever existed. And like it is
I don't know if
so
they think that he's the only one that existed. I think that
that
he's the only one
well,
that they
just
care
like
about.
how just like how I didn't see anybody say that Titans was the best DC TV. I have seen people say that like Tom Holland is the only screen accurate ever before done Spider-Man on the big screen. And I'm like, but there's 5 other Spider-Man films that exist. Like they don't just disappear once a new reiteration comes along. Like
Yeah, that's just. I'll just say for this, I've
it
seen people eat yellow snow before. There's idiots abound, and that's one of the dumbest things
like
I've ever
it
heard. Clay, it's just
I
one of
just
those
I
things.
just
If you see a tweet like that, click on the dots, scroll down, and take your choice of one of 2 grand selections: mute or block.
or
And I
block.
go block. I go block because I don't want to see that shit. I'm with you on it. It's just I don't understand it. You get the same thing. Battison is the only. You'll get that when Robert Pattinson's Batman comes out. Battison's the only Batman, the best Batman. It's just basically tribalism at even more microcosm because it's just into like the one character.
Yeah. Chris says the difference between you, Clay, and other reviewers is your counter to the positives are backed up by specific things you don't like, but your purpose is not to troll.
Yeah, you're
Yeah,
not
like
going into these episodes being like, I can't wait to not like this. No, I don't think that's you're not wasting 45
no,
minutes of your
like
time.
I genuinely don't know how people can be critics when it's just like praise this as if it's the one thing that's gonna bring me to heaven, or shit all over this. Like I don't understand it.
I'm like
One
Frank.
example.
I'm like Frank on this too, because Frank says I like the positivity towards Titans for once. I do as well, because there are a lot of good performances in that show, especially the past 2 seasons, that doesn't get enough love, especially Slade Wilson for one. I know how he went out was bad, but I just love I think, oh my god, the actor too is fantastic. I've seen a couple other things since then, and I do like. I'd rather that than see the constant crapping because we may get more things from this. That's all I'm thinking about. We may get more shows. We may get. I don't know,
Oh
but
yeah, like there's always a possibility of spin-offs or things connecting to it and things like that. That's the greatest thing
not a Hawk and
about
Dove spinoff though.
RIP. There's there's plenty of things that that I really do enjoy about the comic book universes that we're creating for visual media, right? You know, DCCW making Crisis, like we're talking about this whole Batman thing, how people are overhyping it. You said that you kind of had the same thought process on
Yeah, and this will
Crisis.
this will be a pretty good transition into our next news topic too, because I listeners, I don't know. Maybe actually, sorry, no, Brent, I'm sorry. There has been nobody that was more excited for the Crisis on Infinite Earths crossover than me. I'm sorry, Brent, there was not. Uh, I was that jazzed for it, but unfortunately, like we were talking about with expectations, yours truly kind of put a lot of expectations on like what he wanted to see. Like I wanted to see more than 30 seconds of Flash and Arrow interacting, considering they started this universe, and I knew that this was the last thing for Arrow. So I kind of wanted more than 15 seconds. I had things in my mind that was going to happen, and it did not happen. And I did not like Crisis very much because of that. I did not get to enjoy the good stuff that was there, minus Ezra. That was even cool enough that I could be like, all right, even though Green Arrow's dead now, this is still so
Well,
awesome. But
and the thing is, like, I will still say now, even with people overhyping this Batman, movie, I am excited for it. I want to see it. I will probably still even have expectations for it. But I'm not going to go in to this movie saying, again, it is the greatest thing in the world even before I watch it.
Okay, I haven't seen any of that for anything. Like, okay, if you say this trailer is the greatest and this movie maybe, I'm okay with it. But if you're saying this is already the greatest, then that's a bit crazy. But I was
Like,
more talking about just the
well,
positiveness of
no,
Titans post watching it, being like, this is the greatest thing ever.
well,
I just thought
exactly.
that was
But people have already stated, like, again, those people are some that have seen it, but even people that are just jumping on the hype saying Robert Pattinson is the greatest Batman in existence. And I'm like,
I think you got to clean
you've
up your
seen a
timeline a lot better than what mine is because
you've
I never
seen a
saw one of
trailer
those tweets.
and you've seen some set photos. I
I
don't
saw the
understand.
one guy
And
tweeting about the trailer.
and
That's it.
but also I don't think that is a blockable offense. Like, it's not offending me. I'm just confused at the logic. Like, it's not like people are jumping into my DMs or commenting on my stuff saying how Pattinson is the greatest Batman
Well, it
ever.
gotta be annoying to you for that little soliloquy that you just got. Like, it gotta be a little annoying. It can't just be.
Well, it is a little annoying because it's like, okay, like, calm down, people. Like, I understand getting excited for a movie, but like, I'm really excited about Shang-Chi, but I'm not going to call him the greatest Marvel hero in the world because I don't have that much experience with him. You know? Chris
Yeah, but
says your
if you
reaction
watch it,
video alone for the trailer to Crisis shows how psyched you were, Travis.
yeah, I don't ask me about it afterwards. But uh, I just think it's just some people are batshit when it comes to that stuff. But if you after you watch it, if you want to say like it's your favorite version of that, that's fine and dandy. But I just think like the day this was released, everyone was like, "This is the one top of the Titans. This is the greatest episode of DC TV ever." And I'm just like, can we take 2 hours, 2 days to go back and just see before we go making statements like that?
Frank says Pattinson's Bruce Wayne really intrigues me more than his Batman. And
Same.
we won't go into it, but we have heard things about Pattinson and how he portrays both Bruce Wayne and Batman just recently with those viewings of the screener. But it does pique my interest. I'm interested in still watching this movie. Like I said, none of this reaction to it is like turning me off to the fact that, Batman, whatever. Like, no, it's something that I want to see. I myself am very confused as of how people are excited about the portrayal and possibly ending of this movie when they have not seen the portrayal or ending of this movie. Like, that's what I'm confused about. They
That's
are
the trailer.
literally
That's the trailer
acting.
doing a very good job of getting people psyched. That's what that is. That's what the trailer's
Then I
job is
guess
for.
I'm just a really bad viewer of trailers then.
Well,
Like, if
you
I'm
know, the trailers aren't designed for you, Clay. Like they're not designed to haul you in. You're in. You're in. You're in here. You're in here because of these. Because of these, you're in here. You're not. You know that. That's
this isn't
they
a
have your
visual
money.
podcast for some,
Oh, sorry. I
so
was holding a
Travis was
comic book
holding a
there,
comic
listeners.
book and showing me.
But yeah,
So
that's what you're in here for. They have you, and it did generate a crazy buzz, just like Batman's trailer generated a crazy buzz back in fandom. But to your point about what's in here, we're not going to talk about much until we get like we're so close to fandom, listeners. So I don't know why we would even like read off what people saw from a behind the scenes feature at CinemaCon or read off somebody's tweet saying they saw a test screening. Like, well, we're going to hold that off. We're going to wait until the next trailer, and then we're going to discuss that and get a gauge from that. But we're not going to, especially. I know people I've heard anyway from friends of people who watched the Spider-Man trailer before it actually dropped officially, regretting
yeah,
seeing it in the
those
quality that
I
they
don't
saw
know
it in.
why people would do that. That's horrible. Like, seeing it in 4K HD for the first time was glorious, you know?
Yeah,
It was
yeah,
so good.
yeah.
But we were trying to segue into our next story of we finally get to see the lineup for the Flash 5 episode crossover, including a whole bunch of heroes that are from properties that have left the CW, that are leaving the CW, and one that never really got her chance. So, Travis, I don't have the list. I'm sure
I have
you
it
have
right
the
here.
list right there in front of you, Mr. CW himself.
No,
Why don't you
formerly. There was a
go
very
ahead
good point.
and name some of those off?
I just want to say there was a very good point on fans with the Borders this past week of people that may have dropped off DCCW post Arrow. I think they nailed their description for me there. But this event, this 5 episode event, is titled Armageddon, and the event centers around a powerful alien threat arriving on Earth under mysterious circumstances, with Barry, Iris, and the rest of Team Flash pushed to their limits as they fight a desperate battle to save the world. In order to be triumphant, they'll need the help of some additional friends. And this event will begin on November 16th at 8 p.m. Eastern, and it will feature numerous guest appearances from some of CW's biggest names. Those set to join the Flash event are Javicia Leslie as Batwoman, Brandon Rice as the Atom, Chris Williams as Black Lightning, Charlie Lee as Sentinel, Kat McNamara as Mia Queen, and Ostrich Cha as Ryan Choi. And both Tom Cavanaugh and Neil McDonough will return as the enemies to Eo Barthon and Reverse Flash and Damien Dart, respectively. Boom.
So you said Queen, Mia
Mia Queen.
Queen. So the Green Arrow that never was. I am really
No. That was still a Green Arrow.
But was it?
Yes, it was. It was officially episode 809 of Arrow, and she officially in the timeline is Green Arrow now in the future. We didn't get to see any of her adventures at all.
Exactly. That's what I mean.
But in the
That's
official
what I
canon,
mean.
it's no different than seeing Vixen for a year and then not seeing her until Legends again. And actually, we didn't even see Mary then. So I will give Mia had the exact same amount of or more episodes actually. So I will give her the. We didn't get to see any of your adventures, but technically she is the Green Arrow. I would have loved to see the show continue. I understand. I don't even know if it's COVID casualty. You have so many of these shows on DCCW right now, well, on the CW, sorry, and they're not doing like fantastic ratings wise as they're still trying to navigate through this whole transition from cable to streaming. Uh, I know they have the CWC that's free, so I don't know. I know the ads will pay for it there, but still, uh, I'm I don't know, Clay. I'm really interested just to see how this whole thing turns out because you know how I am on the Flash or how I was on the Flash. But there's been stuff like seeing the Flash and Black Lightning interact in that Crisis crossover. That was fantastic. As Frank said, Black Lightning coming back is dope. Hope he gets to lead a team or something. Same thing. I thought that he ended on great terms, so I can understand seeing him come back
Well,
pretty quickly.
the way they kind of described it though was these are all going to be featured via the Flash.
Yeah,
So
they're
it's
all in the
not
Flash.
necessarily a traditional crossover. It's not like we're going from show to show. This will most likely, I feel like, be a Flash story
Yeah.
that is going to be he's going to be helped by these other heroes. Now, I am interested in how they're going to play along with Mia Queen, whether it is jumping into the future or jumping in the future and bringing her into main continuity. Um, you know, I'm interested. I genuinely wanted to see Green Arrow and the Canaries. Um, it was a very interesting idea. I know that the actress, I can't remember the actress's name for
Which one?
the one who plays Mia Queen.
Cat McNamara, Catherine
Yeah,
McNamara.
she was at the time. She also had a show on Freeform, I believe, that has since I think it's still going. But I mean, she has a great career ahead of her. But of course, we as the nerds that we are kind of selfish sometimes. We just like, but she would be a better Green Arrow. I'm
She
just
tweeted
saying,
out Clay within an hour of this dropping. She tweeted out how excited she was.
Oh yeah, like and I'm really excited to see her again. You know, you were mentioning fans and how they were talking about this as well. I do agree with them at some point with the point that they made about this, you know, the whole Green Arrow and the Canaries possibly being a a COVID casualty, in the sense of, hey, maybe they were going to be playing around with it, the idea of bringing it back, but because of all of this, there's just no point. I
I don't see.
kind maybe, but it's an easy out. I will say that. I will say, if there was any kind of press that were to be like, hey, so why didn't this happen? Be like, oh, well, schedules and coronavirus. It's a very easy, hey, I'm going to throw this out there.
I
I
think
think.
if listeners just looked at the ratings for last year, they would understand why. Like Flash keeps pulling fours and
Oh,
threes on the regular, and it ones across the board. So
but
why are you going to bring in another show?
I genuinely think, though, because it is characters that were attached to the highest rating show on the CW. Well, as not highest rating. Let me backtrack. Most popular of the shows, Arrow. I genuinely think it would bring people back.
I think first of all, I think Flash was the most popular of all the shows. I think it reached the highest peak in terms of number of viewers and talked about in just the general audience buzz. I think the first season was like.
I think the first 2 seasons peaked, and then after that, it started to crash. While Arrow was able to have its ups and downs, Flash was up and then down,
I
down,
wasn't saying
down.
quality of show, just in terms of popularity for the general audience. Flash was pulling numbers better than Arrow for the rest of the time since it aired till it ended. Flash was pulling better numbers than Arrow. So, one thing here too, just for the alien threat, Tony Curran joined CW series as Despero for season 8. I think I remember him. I want to say he was in Daredevil. If he wasn't in Daredevil, he was in Sons of Anarchy. But Despero is a fascinating villain to use. He's in one of my favorite Justice League animated stories. Oh my god, it's fantastic, and it ends with Green Lantern literally punching and leaving his ring imprint in the eye, and it was John Stewart. So I don't want to get ahead of myself. Actually, I'm going to do it, listeners. I'm going to same thing as I wanted to see a lightning bolt, an arrow with a lightning bolt, electricity going through it as Flash.
Hey, we just talked about this.
Despero
don't do it
in the eye as Green Lantern.
My god!
Shut his eye.
Setting yourself up.
I'm speaking this
for
into
disappointment.
Speaking this into
oh
belief.
My gosh!
This is gonna happen. You're not gonna have.
I am watching a train wreck in slow motion, people,
you're not
on screen right now.
You're not gonna Diggle show up in all those shows for nothing. Like, what was it? Just for him to come out and say, "Hey guys, I talked about this green box that I kind of, but I'm not gonna do it now. Oh, I got some headaches. Oh, you find your potential." It was
I am not looking for. I am not looking forward to reviewing these 5 episodes anymore. Heinz just ruined all of it.
I managed to enjoy the last one. I just didn't love it like everyone thought I would.
Oh no!
No, I'm speaking it into existence. Diggle's going to be Green Lantern, especially after Stargirl. I mean, you just threw that Green Lantern in 2 seasons, and been watching Flash for 6.
Oh, I have thoughts about Green Lantern and Stargirl. Trust me, that's going to be talked about this episode too.
You aired the grievances last episode about her.
Oh no! I have things to say now. Exactly.
Okay.
That's the point. You introduce this character to just be like, but we will get into that when we get to that. So before we jump on to our last 2 news subjects, before we get into reviewing Stargirl and Titans, let's go ahead and take our first ad break. And we are back. So after that, I swear it is gonna be a train wreck. The day after those 5 episodes are gonna be so.
All you're gonna do is be like, "That son of a bitch called it. That son of a bitch called it."
we got some interesting news involving Batwoman. Today we have a casting for Poison Ivy. Now, of course, people were already crapping all over this, saying, why would you do this? We want a Gotham City Sirens movie. There's no need to put her on TV. Blah, 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 blah. Anyway, those guys are idiots. Batwoman casts Bridget Regan as Poison Ivy in Batwoman season 3. I told Chris when he posted this in the GUA chat, this tracks so well. And the reason why, Bridget Regan has an excellent relationship with the CW. She has already been on 2 shows on the CW. And she, the whole premise of Poison Ivy as a character and what she was molded into is and this is not being misogynistic. This is me just saying what the writers have been put out there for the Poison Ivy character. This is a very sexualized villain that uses her looks and her seductive, just attitude to get what she wants. Of course, she loves plants and she's a love interest for Harley Quinn. We know this. I will say this. Bridget Regan plays that exact same character for every show that she is in. She is playing the exact same character here.
I got to say something. You cannot lead with this is going to be a little misogynistic and then say something that's not misogynistic at all. That was not misogynistic.
Well, just I know people can sometimes be like, if I say a woman is sexy, they're like, hey, wait a minute. And I have to specify.
You can't do that to me. I was like, what's he going to say? Oh my God. And you're just like,
I mean,
you basically
got to keep you on your toes, Hines.
The character description of Poison Ivy is basically what you said. I'm like, watch Batman and Robin. I mean, that was a kid's movie, and she was doing everything that you said. She was doing that in that movie. Same thing with Harley Quinn, the animated show. Everything Clay just said description-wise, she did in the show as well. She just did it with a bit more of a Lake Bell attitude in her voice, but she still did the things that Clay has pointed out there.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
Oh, no.
I will say that they have changed her character a lot since, her birth of a character. But I really enjoy Reagan and a lot of her other shows. For once, I think the first thing that I have ever seen her in, I'm looking at her filmography right now. The first thing that I know her from was, I believe, White Collar. That's the first thing that I saw her in. I really enjoyed her in that. Me and Abby then watched what was it? Jane the Virgin was another show that she was in. She was also in Agent Carter. She was in John Wick. She's in a lot of different things. I think she was on a TNT show called The Last Ship, I think it was. She has a very big filmography for television. But like I said, a lot of her roles are this type of character. So it doesn't surprise me, but I am excited to see how they play around with this. Are they going to go with the more recent green skin? Are they going to go with a little bit more of what Batman Forever was like? I'm interested to see how she portrays the character. I know she's going to do very well. I need to catch up on season 2. I might just see like a highlight reel, to be completely honest. But who knows? I think we all kind of agreed that season 2 was a little messy on the at the start. I've heard a lot of great things about what they've done to the characters, not necessarily the writing as a whole. So maybe I can give season 3 a shot, but we will see. We are not going to make any promises on whether we are going to review anything or not. I think if anything, we will review the 5 episodes of The Flash. I think that's a big enough event to just be like, hey, let's give it a shot. But yeah, there is that. But moving on to also TV news, technically, that surprisingly got shot down, which again, I said, I still believe it could happen. We got news that a Bloodsport show was in the works.
I thought it was just a project.
project works. I mean, it's the same thing. It's
Oh,
HBO
I know what
Max.
you meant. Instead, I could have been a movie instead of a TV show. I just wasn't sure what it could have been.
Um,
I could be
what did
wrong now. I thought I saw tweets for both saying
let's
it
see
was a
here. I
TV show.
have it right here. It says Suicide Squad's Bloodsport project in the works. Yeah, so
Okay,
not
yeah.
necessarily show or movie.
Prefer show if we were doing
You know,
everything.
there was we were kind of joking around like, oh, there's going to be a crossover episode with him and Peacemaker. You know, round 2 of the dick measuring contest or whatever. Um, but as soon as this came up, there was already workings through James Gunn. He shot it down. He himself said, "Hey, although this would be very, very fun, it's not true." Now, I can see that in two different ways. Of course, he could be telling the truth, or it could be, "Hey, let's shoot this down for now until we can actually say, hey, yes, this is legitimately happening." So a lot of people will be like, oh, well, Journey was able to confirm that she's doing a show or a movie. And I would say you're right. But at that point, I'm probably guessing that Journey and the writer were already given the green light to be like, yeah, we want to do this. This may be something that's in the works and they haven't necessarily talked to Idris Alba yet. You know, it could be one of those situations where
Well,
every party is not necessarily having that green light yet. You know,
my defense, I think it's shot down right now, and I think we won't hear about it during fandom myself. But to back up your position of it could still happen, who said James Gunn has to direct, or he can only he only needs to be a producer just
yeah,
because of him
exactly. But
introducing
that's what I'm
characters?
saying.
That's no
Like
different than Snyder
they're
with Flash.
all parties are not like that's what I'm saying, that they haven't really gathered everything to really make it officially in the works, right? Like maybe there isn't even a script yet, or nobody's even writing yet. Like they are still trying to put everything together. Like some people heard some whispers and they're like, hey, this is happening. You know, it happens all the time. So I would say don't necessarily like say that like don't expect it, but don't be surprised if it gets announced within the next year.
It's
You
also a
know?
DC project as well, so don't even. If I'm being completely honest with you, don't even put it in your mind to worry about until it goes into actual production, and that'll be the final thing we talk about here. Because I had a little picture saved. Batgirl is supercharged, Clay. Pretty much, they're already gone into production in Glasgow, filming. So I don't know because this is where the Flash is filming, and this is filming fast and hard. And we got Supergirl in the Flash movie actually confirmed. Don't rule out anything, especially with Spider-Man, No Way Home, and how backwards that's going to be. Don't rule out anything with the Flash, especially with WB and the way they like to give their 2 cents on what a movie should and shouldn't be. Don't be surprised if you see other characters that we don't know about yet. Nah, that stuff. I think DC is very good at WB is very good at keeping that close to the vest. They'll probably will leak, but like I,
It'll be interesting. You know,
yeah,
people have already started to put their tinfoil hats. Like, okay, well, clearly, you know, Christina Hodson wrote both the Flash script and well, we're still unsure about that, right? I think that like there has been multiple scripts running around for the Flash. We knew that Christina Hodson wrote something at one point, but we know for sure that she did write the Batgirl script. So, you know, maybe there could be some continuity that they're trying to throw in there. And, you know, Keaton is there. So they're like, oh my gosh, like this whole rumor of Keaton training Batgirl is going to be true. Like there's already a lot of people throwing that tinfoil hat. And for me, I'm just excited that it's already filming, which means that they really want to push this, which means that we could possibly see this late 2022, if not early 2023,
I know, which is
which
super
is
exciting.
pretty cool. So that is it for the news. let's go ahead. Where do you want to go first, Titans or Stargirl? Because I mean, I got words for both. Just letting you know.
I think we should tackle Titans because actually, let's go with Stargirl because it aired. It aired like we were going back further for Stargirl. So let's hit that
Okay,
one first.
okay. So let's go ahead and jump into Stargirl. This is season 2, episode 3, and I believe this one was titled
Summer School Chapter 3.
Summer School Chapter 3. Yes. So, okay. So, this
Please, I gotta ask one thing. Please say you enjoyed the scene with Pat and Johnny Thunder.
So the flashback scenes I always enjoy. I did question the look of Wildcat's suit a little bit. It just looked off. Don't know why. Just because I think it's a little jarring to see Wildcat sometimes. That suit can be very, very cool or very, very cheesy. Same thing with Johnny, his just green suit. I think you can kind of do it a little bit too comic booky with making it a little too bright, but it was fine the way they were playing it off. I think the flashbacks were fine. Jim Gaffigan as a Thunderbolt I thought was funny. I am a big fan of Jim Gaffigan. He is on my list of comedians that I want to see live. Me and Abby had the chance to do it. We didn't pull the trigger about like 3 or 4 years ago. Probably one of the regrets that I have, knowing that like how COVID is going. I'm just like, how are greater crowds and shows now after this? Not really my thing anymore.
Yeah.
But I will say the whole scenes when Thunderbolt was around may have been a little too silly for me. Now, I understand that is the character. The whole point of him, like, basically being like a monkey's paw to like every wish that you make. I can see why like they reacted the way that they did when they learned that he was in possession of the pin and all of that. But like I understand the story. I am not so far separated for my despise of the CW shows, which is not entirely true because I really do enjoy Superman and Lois right now. But like this whole thing of like, oh, you're the one in possession of the pin, so you're going to help us, but you're only going to help us in this small capacity. You're not part of the team, but we're going to talk to you like you're part of the team, and we love you like you're a part of the team, but you're still not going to help us. Like, are people this dumb? Like, this is how villains are created. Like, come on. Like, it can't be that hard to let somebody in on your operation. You now have like this basically genie that is basically, I said basically.
No, I'm just hot mode. Let's not speak of him like he's there being like rah rah help. He's out to amuse himself. You hear him laughing every time.
Oh, don't get me wrong. He is out. He has his own mind. He has his own will. Don't get me wrong. And that's the whole point of like his powers. Like he is like, oh, I'm making rules so I can have fun. Like that's the whole point of what this is. But like, you can foolproof an entire wish, and you're still gonna like kick the kid to the curb whenever it comes down to encounter the bad guy. He doesn't even have like genuinely, and this is the problem that I have with the dumb runt you guys keep calling Red Hood, is you involve this character in said thing, he will not despise you later. Simple as that. Like and because it's as simple as that, I want to call bad writing, but like it's just common sense. Like, I don't know. It's just like, it bothers the shit out of me.
Yeah, but it's also common sense that it's not dependable in a fight, Clay. It's not dependable to bring along to fight this random villain that you don't know anything about. Clearly, they're not anywhere near a match for him. Like they were all dealt with easily, including uh, Mike when he came to do the very thing that you said he should be allowed to do. They allowed him. They didn't allow him to do it, but he went off and did it, and he failed miserably. So there is some wisdom to you have this genie that you just learned about. Like, let's calm down instead of running headfirst into going after this guy that potentially, according to Pat, and as far as what the audience knows, he killed Wildcat and he helped kill all the JSA members. So I don't know, especially somebody like Johnny Storm who had, or Johnny Thunder, sorry, who had the pin and knew how to use it, and he still was killed. So I'm Pat. I'm 100% as my son's there. I'm 100% sitting him down and saying you can't. But what Pat finds out at the end of the episode is what will change and make him not do what you said will lead to someone becoming a villain. Because he finds out, because inadvertently, Jim Galifianakis as the Pin tells
Gaffigan.
him that Gaffigan, sorry, tells him that only reason he picked Mike was because he feels lonely and just by himself, and that you look. Bravo to Luke Wilson too. Obviously, he has some acting chops, of course, but he nailed that complete and utter like gut punch of finding out that your son feels like he's all alone, and he
Yeah,
realized how
and
neglectful it was. So you can change that, or you can be like Titans. And now, in their defense,
we
Jason
will get
just
to it. We will get to it.
but
Let's stay on stuff.
Jason had a like a hissy fit kind of thing, whereas Mike, at least with Mike's more mature than Jason, who's supposed to be 20, which is or 18 or 7, whatever, however old. Mike is far younger than Jason, yet he is more mature. He's not going immediately and selling everybody down the river because they.
Yeah.
So I there are some things I like about this, but I will admit sometimes with the pin it got a little much for me.
Yeah, like the whole thing of like, oh, I wish that I was taller, and it's
Yeah,
like,
that
oh,
stuff
look,
got a
you're on the
little
bench. And then like, what was the other thing? Oh, with the stop signs, like how they were like that. When it gets to the point where like, hey, we have to clearly use bad CGI to make this scene happen, don't do it. Like if that is your thought process, hey, we could do this, but it won't look good, then don't do it. Like
Okay, well, I need to introduce you to the people that write Legends of Tomorrow, if you're going to say
it's
that.
the reason why I don't watch Legends of Tomorrow anymore. Like genuinely, like I understand like the idea of being like, oh, wouldn't this be so cool? Like I understand that. We talk about it in comics and movies. Your expectations for this 5 episode crossover that you're already making, predictions are awesome. And the ideas in our head are always going to be better than what is on screen. It's just we don't have the technology to make that happen. It's just the way it is. But
Yes, I
when
guess.
you watch it and you're like, like, because at some point
I
it
didn't.
has to.
I can't agree with you because I didn't think that was terrible. Like I just thought it was just an average run of the mill scene. Like I didn't think it was as
No, it could
bad CGI as you're saying
because
it there.
the stop sign started to get all wobbly and stuff and
But
make
that's the way
silly
they would
noises.
be. That's exactly how they would be, and the noises they would make. Have you ever? Unfortunately, working for the town back when I was growing up, you had to take out a sign, and that's exactly how they sound. And they might have added a little bit for effect, but the whoa, 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 that's how they sound,
Well,
especially when
yes,
you're trying to put them in the steel.
I understand that's how the signs would make, but it was exaggerated that got me like the
Okay,
exaggeration
yeah,
of the sound took me out of it. And I was just like,
yeah.
okay, I'm this is too much.
Okay,
Now, the whole thing of like, oh man, I just wish what was the wish that he made that made the pin disappear? It
I
was
just wish it was in better hands. Sometimes
yeah.
he said, sometimes I just wish this was in better hands.
And then it like disappeared. I'm just like, dude, what are you doing? Like I mean, I guess you're just proving that you're not the right person.
Well, I don't
Okay.
even know. This is in his defense. He didn't even get 24 hours with the pen. Like he's still trying to. I don't even think he realized all the rules. So because he's only got them read out once, where no killing, no
No wishing anybody back from the dead and all of this other stuff. Yeah, I understand. Don't get me wrong, I understand. But I like Jim Gaffigan as an actor. I like him as a voice actor. I don't know if I like Thunderbolt. That I think that's my thing.
you know
Because
what? I can be with you, Clay. I just gotta say,
when
I can be with you because he can seem like he can get. He's gonna if he's around a lot, he seems like he can get fairly annoying fairly quickly.
he
Like
he
he is one
could
of those
probably be a
characters.
little much sometimes.
Yeah.
And for me, I think that last season had a very good balance of the fantastical with the the balance of the fantastical versus what the show is about. It's about a bunch of kids who are taking the mantles of the JSA. This kind of feels like it's like going all in. And I don't know if you go in all that fast, because the whole thing. My criticism of Green Lantern. We saw her for one episode and she's already gone. Like, I'm sorry, you're gonna introduce this character and just be like, well, we wanted you to be a part of the team, but oh well.
Now, I
No,
will say Courtney making mistakes at least it shows some consequences to her acting like a dick. Like it's just not forgiveness immediately and kumbaya. She leaves, but she doesn't even leave because of that. Like they're okay after she leaves. So you know what? It's not if they weren't okay, I could get behind it a bit more, but uh
yeah, like it some of these decisions, like, it just bothers me. I
well
do like I do like the fact that they are writing Shade to be a little bit on the fence, because his character has been that that has been good and bad at times. So being this individual that is like, hey, I'm only here for this. I don't want to fight you because you're only going to be a thorn in my side. And then, like, him showing his power to be like, hey, just don't mess with me. So I don't have to do this, basically. And then at the very end, he's like, oh, he's going to kill them all. Shows that Shade isn't necessarily the bad guy here. Uh, Charlie says, uh, the book's coming in tomorrow. Oh, yeah, Charlie was the one that won our giveaway. So good on you. He says, thanks again. Also, I hope they use Thunderbolt in the pin from form, because it's more discreet, first of all, but also the CGI was pretty junk. Now, I I don't know if you noticed this, um, and it may have just been because he was controlling it in some aspect. When he went inside Stripe, it kind of started to like glow. So I don't know if he was giving it power or if he was just legitimately like playing around with it. Because I think it would be kind of cool if he could like control it,
oh
if
yeah,
he could just like give it power
like
or whatever.
add an extra power. Like remember crossing over here, but when Thor shot Iron Man with his lightning, he had like 400% power.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
maybe something like that where he gets charged up a little extra. Uh,
I can see the good coming out of having a character like that, but I don't want this to become the cameo show, to be like, oh look, here's a character. Oh look, here's a character. Oh look, here's a character. Because at that point, why do I want to be attached to any of these people if they're only going to show up? And I'm really trying to get connected to these characters that we got from first season that you're kind of just like throwing off to the wayside.
well, are they though? Because you got hints of both of these characters in the first season, and all you heard from people were, "Oh my god, I can't wait to see who uses the pen. Oh my god, I can't wait to see who comes for the Green Lantern. Lantern, like, is it going to be Green Lantern from space? Is it going to be?" So
But
these
again,
things have been laid. The foundation was laid in season one, and you
if
expect these things
Jade
to be.
if Jade was a part of the team, I would be more happy about it.
But then you get your problem of what you just said. I'm still trying to focus on the original group. So it depends on how there are ways. Like if what you're saying, I will agree with you. If we don't see her anymore this season, maybe one appearance, I'll agree with you. But like if they bring her back, let's say by episode 9, and she has a 5 or 6 episode run after she figures out what happened to her brother, or if she can't find her brother, then that's fine for me. That she went off on her own journey to find her brother. I can understand that. If I had this brother that I didn't know about and I met all these random people for the first time, I'd probably still go off trying to find my brother. So I can understand that part of it, but I will agree with you. If we don't see her anymore, but like if they try to do it, like make her come back for the season finale to help them stop the bad guy, that won't be good enough for me. You need to bring, if you're going to
Well,
have
like,
her back, you need to bring her back for a few episodes.
well, like the biggest problem is, okay, so the power is light constructs. Light. She would be the best person to fight against shade.
Yeah.
So they're like, oh, this is going to be too easy. We have to get her out of the show for a while. Like that, I feel like, why even write her into the show?
She might not be powerful enough though, so she could have had the exact same thing happen to her the first
Oh,
time.
you're right. You know, she's inexperienced with the ring. She probably wouldn't have been all that great. But for the fact that she was able to make herself completely glow,
Well, that
like,
wasn't even her. Well, yeah, yes, it's more the lantern than her. Like she wasn't like that's not ability. I don't know if she can do that again unless the lantern cracks again. I'll be really interested to see that. Maybe she'll show up next time completely glowing green, and I'll look like the biggest idiot that ever existed. But
yeah,
I'm with you on that because you get the problem like with Titans where you have too many and it's hard. But you also introduce these cool characters, and I want to know more about them. If you're talking about the magic, like they're going on, we're not even at Eclipso yet. Like Shade just hints Eclipso, and it makes me think that Shade is going to be a good character and that he's going to be killed. I really do think that that's going to happen by
I could see
Eclipso,
it
or
happening.
yeah.
Yeah, you're right. I could definitely see that
Because they're
that
laying,
kind of
like you
thing
said, they're
happening.
laying those seeds right now. But it's interesting. Like I understand that it's geared for a bit younger audience than myself, just with the people that they center around. But I did enjoy the first season more than I'm enjoying the second season so far. But like I said, we're only 3 episodes in, so I don't want to
It
immediately.
has potential to turn around.
Yes,
It definitely
yes.
does. It has
There's
a
some things I
moment of
really enjoyed, but there are some, like you said, there are some writing and some things that they back you into a corner that you really have to fight hard to explain it. To even give
yeah.
yourself head canon. It's tough.
Now, one last thing I want to say about this episode is Yolanda is getting headaches, like
Yeah,
severe headaches, which is like, okay, what is all that about? Is it the fact that she just randomly got a headache, or is freaking Brainwave alive? Right? That's
yeah.
his villain name,
Oh,
Brainwave, right?
Brainwave Junior.
Yeah. Very, very interesting. That's something that I want to follow. I think right now, her story right now is the most compelling.
Yes, I will agree with
And
you
I
because she is struggling with a lot right now.
she is struggling to the point that like not a lot of people are noticing it. That's the thing that I feel like,
I feel like Courtney just started to notice a little bit in this
but it
episode.
was because of the headache, you know?
Yeah.
Uh she turned down her own Green Lantern ring. We are seeing a lot of that recently in the CW shows. Probably going to happen in the HBO Max show because it's so popular. But I like I said, or like you said, season 1 right now is top dog. There's plenty of room for improvement here. What we have, how many more episodes to go for this season? I think it's not a full
I
20
think it's same as
something
Titans 13.
13 episodes, so we still
Yeah.
have 10 episodes to go. Let's see how it goes.
Yeah.
So before we jump into Titans, let's go ahead and jump into our second ad break, and we will be right back. And we are back. So, oh boy, Titans, episode 5,
Lazarus.
Lazarus. Thoughts?
I don't think I don't think it's the best episode of DC TV ever made, like I said earlier, because I saw a lot of that going around, even from people that I enjoy listening to, their podcasts, their writing. Uh, People need to calm down a little time, but we've got some fun as hell DC TV, not even including the HBO Max Watchmen. I'm just talking about just your generic DCCW stuff and Smallville stuff. So let's calm down a little bit there. I enjoy some of this. The Scarecrow part is really annoying me. Like I'm not into the character at all. I'm really not. He's just like a wise ass that wants to get high all the time.
I'm gonna go ahead and say it here. The whole pothead shtick, already tired of it.
Yeah, it don't work for me, especially
Like,
like you get away from Nightwing there, and you're like Red Hood in Jason's defense. He's a little bit freaking out, and all Crane can worry about is sitting on the stump, lighting up this big gigantic blunt that he has, same as if he was Snoop Dogg.
because
And
here's the thing: it is 2021. In majority of the United States, weed is legal. It is no longer
listeners,
the cool kid
peel back
when
the
you
curtains.
smoke weed.
I smoke weed a lot. Spoiler alert, it's legal here. That's not a big story thing to drive something.
Like,
It makes me laugh at Crane, and not even in a good way.
no, it's weed isn't a character trait. Like,
No, it's not.
it it's really annoying because I, in every reiteration of the character, see Crane as a psychotic individual that is obsessed with fear. Now, he tries to play that game with Jason in this episode. Oh, by the way, this entire episode is a flashback up until the beginning of the episode is in real time, and then everything else is a flashback. I absolutely hate how Scarecrow found out about the identity of Batman and Red Hood, or Jason and Nightwing and everything else. Literally figured it out by just one vial of fear toxin. He was able to connect the dots. He was able to connect all the dots by one vial.
Not by one vial. Yeah, by one vial.
Yes, it was.
But
It was
because,
one
no,
vial. He held it in his hand and he's like, "Oh, a vial by a collector."
no,
Well, there's only one collector.
He
Batman.
said, yeah.
You know
I don't-
Batman.
I don't hate.
Your only connection would be Bruce Wayne. Oh, so Bruce Wayne is Batman. Oh, and
No.
you must be Robin. Like it was. Oh, I hate this. I absolutely hate this.
I don't
When
agree
did
with
he?
you on that part. Like that was Jason gave that away. Jason made the missteps talking and gave that away. That's what they
No.
showed there.
No. Anybody could have been that collector. Anybody.
No, it couldn't been at all, Clay. That's not true.
How? Why?
Because Clay, if anybody knows how much fear toxins out there and how much is in these little things, I think it would be the guy that created it. Obviously, he knows that there's nothing left besides this one, and he even says, like, "How'd you get this? There's only one person that could get it. It's the person that shut me down." Like he knows that. So obviously, when
No,
Jason
I
shows
think
that,
it's
he's like, "How'd you get this easy thing that obviously like only Batman knows about?" Batman wouldn't just leave the rest of it lying around for some kid
so
to find.
you're saying that Crane, even still, okay, he was able to make the connection. Okay, Batman gave you that vial. Oh, you stole it from Batman. Oh, which means that you have to be close to it. Like all of these freaking wide ass
That's pretty
accusations
easy. No, that's
going
pretty easy
into,
to
oh,
see,
Bruce Wayne
though.
is Batman,
No,
you're
the Bruce
Robin,
Wayne
and
thing-
everybody in your family is
No, the Bruce
that
Wayne
character.
thing, him knowing that Bruce Wayne is, I can't remember him saying that he knew Bruce Wayne was Batman from this. I thought Jason was the one that told him that.
No.
I need to rewatch that because we'll put a pin in that until next week because I really need. I'm pretty confident. I watched this episode this morning and he found out about Bruce Wayne from Jason Todd. Jason Todd was talking to him and he said like the only one collector. And he just looked, he's like, "Yeah, well, I got it." And then he looked at it. He said, "Yeah, I'm special," is what Jason said. And showed him the thing. And it's not too hard to realize if Batman has this, it has to be someone close to him. Then you look to this small kid, and Robin was with him when he took down Scarecrow. So it's only for Scarecrow reason. Well, that has to, if he knows everything, he has the fear toxin.
Either way, it was really stupid.
Little flimsy, but I could see how he came up with that. If I have to watch it back, if he from that conversation then says, "Oh my God, if you're Robin, Bruce Wayne must be Batman." If I hear that, listeners, retract every bit of my statement because it will be a complete lie. But I completely think it's bullshit. But I don't think that's how it went. I think that he told him the
That's
Bruce
what I
Wayne
saw.
identity. I have to rewatch that because that's one thing. I think that he told him the Bruce Wayne identity. I don't think that Scarecrow got it from that stupid conversation. I won't say that it's not like, but I don't think he got the identity of Batman from there. I think
Now-
that's he asked. He said when they're having a conversation, he said after this little conversation takes place, he said, "I'll need to know everything about Batman, all the things, ins and outs, and everything." So he lists all that after this conversation you're talking about here. So I don't think he found out Batman's identity from just that little bit from Jason. I think Jason straight up told him everything. After
like I said, I'm pretty sure everything went down right there at the jail cell. And then he said, "Hey, I need to know all of the operation." So we kind of just kind of just jumped in here with that.
This is the only thing that we're even about this episode, really, is this.
Well, like let's back it up. Let's back it up because again, I don't know how people are excited about Red Hood at all with this actor. Like again, it is my 14-year-old brother that is having like a jacket 2 sizes too big for him and a helmet that like consumes his entire neck and shoulders, and like I can't take this guy seriously at all.
You can't get past his look at all.
I can't get past his acting.
You can't get past his look. Everything you just listed was descriptive of his look.
Yes, like I'm sorry.
Nothing to do with how he delivered any lines. It was basically
yeah. his can you just give me the pill? Can you just write it down and give me the pill? Isn't that what you're supposed to do? Like the whole Leslie Tompkins thing. And by the way, Leslie Tompkins keeping a photo of her like freaking assailant, like Scarecrow tried to murder her, and she's like, "Oh, I just want to keep a picture of him right inside of my therapy, office, and so my clients can see it." Like, you're in Gotham, and everybody knows the identities of all of these villains. People are gonna know, "Oh, that's Scarecrow. You knew Scarecrow. Why do you have a picture of Scarecrow in your office?" That is 100% unprofessional. Like, if you're a therapist and you have a picture
he's not riding around in a horse wearing a Scarecrow mask. It was before he even turned Scarecrow. It's just is a sea of colleagues. It's basically like graduate students.
If you went to school with the sea of freaking colleagues and then you found out that one of them mass murdered a whole bunch of people in one town, like, would you be like, "Hey, so here's a picture and there's the murderer"?
I don't think she went like, "Here's a picture." He noticed.
No, she had it right there next to her where other people could look at it.
This is getting there's nitpicks, and then we're got into the micro of nitpicks here now.
No.
Yes, listeners, please back me up on this. If you listen to this today, tell me that might be a little bit of a micro nitpick. Let's get some feedback on this. I want to hear micro nitpick. Please let me know, yes or no.
There have been people that have hurt me personally, whether it be emotional or physical. I'm not just like, I'm going to keep a picture of them in my office. Why would you do that?
Maybe it helped her get over it. Maybe it helped her fight the fear. I don't know. I think maybe it doesn't work for you, but just to completely, I don't know if it's unprofessional. I don't know about that. It depends. If you had somebody in there that didn't have anything to do with Scarecrow or didn't even know who it was, then that's a moot point. Maybe if you're handling people that were affected or tormented by Scarecrow, yeah, that would probably be unprofessional to have a picture of even who he used to be there. But in
That's what
this
I'm
regard,
saying. If she sees
in this regard, there's
clients,
far more trouble and problems with this episode than her having the picture of Crane there. I think there's a
well, like it's
few
that scene.
things.
It's that scene. This whole edge lord persona that Jason Todd has. It's so dumb.
Well,
Again,
he's had
it
it the
is.
entire time he's been in the show.
He's had it for like half of season 2 and then going into season 3.
He was a
Because
bit of a dick
more
in season
so,
1 too.
I feel like more of season 1 was him being like the hard ass. That's what it was. It wasn't necessarily being the edge lord. I think there's two different ways of
He had
seeing
some
that.
conversations with Dick there that were like, "I put on your emo music and tell me what
I
you need
mean,
to say."
maybe it's been a while since I've seen season
Yeah,
1, but
I don't think you're gonna go
I will
back.
say the conversation that Bruce had in Crime Alley, I liked the monologue. Jason killed all of the vibe,
Oh,
all of it. He ruined the entire conversation.
I really
Uh,
enjoyed that scene. I gotta say, I really enjoyed the back and forth and Bruce calling him son. Bruce probably should have did that
oh my
plan.
gosh, calling him son and son, like he get like all emotional, and Bruce is like, yeah, like duh, like like I'm sorry, I can't handle this writing. I can't handle this actor as Jason Todd. It's not believable. It There is no nostalgia factor for me for liking Red Hood. Like nothing. Like he kills the entire persona of Red Hood for me
You
here.
got you had to know this is probably why you were a little hesitant on watching this season to begin with, because you knew he was going to be Red Hood from the past
No,
two
no.
seasons of knowing him.
I bet you anything, if you get a good writer and give that kid an acting coach, we're golden.
I won't
But the
go into
way
the
he is
acting
acting
coach
now,
thing.
what? Like he
I mean,
doesn't
okay,
deliver.
don't say what, because how do you know, honestly, this is an honest question, how do you know that he didn't have 4 acting coaches in the last 2 years?
Then they weren't really good.
But you don't, right? You don't know. Like, he could have had 4 or 5. We don't know. The writing thing we do know, because that's something that's tangible that we can see. But the acting coach thing, he very well could have one that he goes to every day. It's just not working for him. He just might not be talented. For you, this could be like, for you, the listeners. If you enjoy this episode, more if you think this episode is the best episode of DC TV, more power to you. I disagree. I think there are
If
some
people
things
are
that need to
enjoying the
be.
show, good on them. I've said it before. People can have their opinions, they can enjoy what they enjoy, but the whole point of having these conversations is that we're going to discuss it. I'm not just going
Oh
to be
yeah.
like,
No,
oh,
I just
Red Hood is the greatest character ever because he
exactly.
is on screen. HBO Max gave us an interpretation of a character that we have not seen before, and so he is the greatest. Like,
Well,
no,
this is just
I
not
just
an
gave a whole entire
interpretation you're a
tangent
fan
about
of.
this at the very beginning of this episode. I'm not going to like slob over everybody's knob because he is freaking there in existence. No, I'm going to judge it and I'm going to critique it. It's not great. It's not. And like this whole thing going into continuity, right? So again, we both said before we started recording that this whole idea that only Scarecrow knows about this Lazarus pit, I call bullshit. I think it's very, very dumb, and I think it's a very easy slip in as far as the script goes to be like, oh, this is an easy way to make Red Hood, and make it to where Scarecrow, like the idea when we first talked about the first 3 episodes, I said that I knew this story wasn't going to be an interpretation of Under the Red Hood because it was going to be a Titan story. The show proved me wrong. His motivations are because of Bruce. It is the combination of the Titans and Bruce. But what we see is the Under the Red Hood story with Scarecrow being the puppet master. Like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, for me, it genuinely doesn't.
I don't. I'm not as uh, negative about it as you. Like it doesn't. It's not my favorite. But I don't hate it. I thought he was great in some stuff, especially with the Molly, like his friend. I thought it was like good acting from him. I enjoyed that, but that's just my taste.
The Molly character, I understand, is there so that way they can show that he is still Jason underneath everything. Which again plays into the whole fact of like what I was talking about in Stargirl. Hey, as long as you involve said character in the things that we're supposed to involve him in, this wouldn't have happened in the first place. Like that's the whole point of this whole arc is to show like, hey, you weren't paying attention to the clearly red flags that Jason was going through. Thus, this is happening. Like,
but we also get a
it's clear as
classic
crystal.
Jason move in this episode where when he gets beat up, he completely turns on Molly, tells her to get out of the way, like go, leave, like get out of here. He did the same thing with Rose in season 2 as well. He has that reaction anytime he feels like he's
Well, like
humiliated.
and they play off of this whole thing with like PTSD with him. And for me, I don't know. Like I understand that like the whole thing with Deathstroke was like supposed to be a big moment for him, right? And they're still playing off the fact that he like fell off the building and he was gonna die and Superboy saved him. Like he's gone through some shit. I understand that. But like Bruce was right there saving him and saying, hey, you are not mentally there yet. And he said, let's learn from my mistakes. That being Dick Grayson. Let's give up Robin so you can be my son. That's what the whole monologue was about. And then Jason was all like, what? I'm a mistake? Well, fuck you, Bruce. And then he ran off. Like,
not really. He was no. He just
he heard what he heard the word mistake, and he did it. A lot of people do it. Kids do it. Adults do it. They hear what they want to hear. And so when he heard the word mistake, he thought Bruce was talking about him. He got angry. He walked off.
That wasn't even before that. He thought that he just opened up to Leslie. Like it took him a while in this episode, and then he finally opens up to Leslie after when the first time he was there. All he could think about and like multiple times saying like, "Are you going to tell Bruce? Is that what you're going to tell Bruce?" Because he assumed that she told Bruce everything. And then when he has this discussion, that's the first thing he says when Bruce says he's going to ground you is, did you attack Leslie? Is that why? And he immediately thinks, even if Bruce says no, I wasn't. This is my decision. You know, in even your own mind, Clay, if you just left the shrink's office 20 minutes ago, talking about like your fears and that Bruce will take it all away from you, and like you like all this stuff,
being the son of the greatest detective, like I don't know.
Well, I'm just saying the whole questioning his ability and afraid that Bruce is going to take it away from it. And then you get in, you see Bruce and you get in with him and you drive and you get out to a place and Bruce says, yeah, I don't want you to be robbed anymore. First thing I'm going to think is, God damn it. Like she called him and told him everything I said. Like that is going to be a reaction of a young kid like that. I can see that.
Don't get me wrong. I understand that it was his reaction. It wasn't probably his reaction. It was his reaction. But the whole point, and of course, this is the story of how it went. Like, we can't go back and say, hey, this is what he should have said because it's written in the script. It's going to go how they want it to go.
Even how he said it was perfect, but he should have did it on the plane. He offered to take him to go to Paris. He should have took him to Paris and then told him, I don't want you to be robbing when you're on the plane. There's no him getting like just taking off and going.
No, you don't tell him that until you're like mid having fun, mid vacation to be like, hey, this is how your life should be. Look how happy you are. No more Robin. Like the problem with Jason as a character in this reiteration of the character in Titans, the TV show, I'm not saying this for comics or anything else, is the fact that like, again, this edgelord persona, he has to be bad and he has to be mopey and all of this other stuff. Otherwise, his reaction of becoming Red Hood doesn't make sense. totally understandable. I understand where they're going, but they're going too far in one direction that is eye rolling. Like it's not believable at this point because it's laughable. Some of the decisions he's making. I would enjoy it a lot more if Jason was I guess more understanding, and then he still found out that like these people are still not there for me. Otherwise, he is just like the world's against me, everybody hates me, blah 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 blah. I don't want to be scared anymore. Like the whole montage of him like inhaling all of these freaking chemicals, like eye rolling, completely eye rolling.
I was
Like,
I was smiling because I called that right off the bat of the first episode when I saw
oh yeah, no, yeah,
the
that the whole thing
inhaler
was like
reverse engineer
honestly,
fear gas. I nailed it.
he shouldn't have been going to Scarecrow. Should have gone to freaking Joker. Hey, what's the opposite of fear? Laughter. Cool. Get some laughing gas in you. You're good to go. See you later, Jason. Like that's all you need. Instead, he's like, I want to be stoic and I want to
Fingers
be
crossed, listeners,
badass.
we clue up this Red Hood episode, story arc with enough time to give us a good Black Fire story arc. Please, please show, like, not asking for
Like,
much. I'd love to see Clay be like, the Black Fire storyline at least made it
well,
a
and then
watchable season.
to make more nonsense happen in this show, Jason randomly hallucinates freaking Donna out of nowhere.
Okay, we're not even going to talk about that because that made no sense. Listen, we're just going
Oh,
to brush
you
back.
still have so much time to live, Jason. And then like she disappears. It's like,
Well, they're both dead, but even that, no, she's not dead. Sorry, they're not both dead, but he just got shot with a the fear toxin thing that he's
yeah,
experiencing or whatever.
exactly. He was high off of drugs. Like that's basically it. Like I understand this is not a kid show whatsoever, but let's hope that people aren't watching this and being
Rewatch this
like,
episode,
"Oh,
man.
look
I'll
at
watch it
Jason.
today.
He's sniffing and freaking inhaling all of these chemicals. Maybe he can help me too." Like,
Oh my god!
un-
No, if you do that, you deserve to.
I'm
I'm
just saying,
sorry.
there's
No,
there are
Just
plenty
like
of
those
stupid
people,
people out
just like those
there.
people after deworming for COVID. I'm sorry. You deserve it. You deserve it. You deserve it, in my opinion, because that's the dumbest of the dumb. And the same thing here. It's just like, are you
Oh,
kidding me? Come on.
there is a lot wrong with this show. I'm
Well,
saying it now.
fingers crossed it gets a bit better for Clay, or we
Oh
may end up
gosh.
doing post
You have
show
you have to do an
recaps.
entire rewrite of the entire show to get this to be any better. I'm
Although I
sorry.
gotta say, I'm enjoying Clay's hits of the week when it comes to Titans. Like this was bad, this was funny, this was what are they even doing here? I'm enjoying these. So
Like,
even if you have to, even if
don't
you
get me
suffer
wrong.
through these,
Like, for one, I have been shitting on this Bruce Wayne since he showed up last season. Like, this Alfred of a Bruce Wayne, I have not enjoyed him at all. But his monologue to Jason, like, I put my phone down and I was like, oh shit, this is good. Like, and that tells you right there. Like, in these episodes, I'm just like, okay, I'm bored. I'm just gonna go on Twitter and just have this in the background and just okay, whatever. Like, it's not grabbing my attention. I need something to grab me again, whether it be Beast Boy turning into a Tyrannosaurus Rex or freaking maybe Donna coming back is gonna help the show. Who knows?
I
Maybe she
think
can
that's
be
what next week's
electrocuted.
episode is
If
about.
she gets electrocuted again and she doesn't die, oh, that would be great. That
Yeah,
would
it'd
be
be nice.
hilarious.
Maybe if they dissipate from her gauntlets this time, they say, "Hey, you had gauntlets last time, so what you got to do is put them together, and then everything will go." Who knows? But
Uh,
I'm
okay.
excited to see how this turns out for the show and for Clay. So, will he pull his hair out by
We
season's end?
we will see. We will definitely see. But before we go into Comics Corner, we do have some listener questions, both by my fellow co-host Tony WaltGator93
Bringing
sent
the
us
heat.
2 questions. I will go ahead and get the hardest question out of the way here. Um, He asked if you could bring one version of Spider-Man into the DC universe, which version would that be, and who would you make their three arch nemesis? This was difficult.
Not at all for this cat.
All right, Heinz,
I'm going to
you
hit you
go
with
first.
multiple answers now. I'm putting Tom Holland in the DCCW. Bam. His villain will be Captain Cold from The Flash. I think that would be a very funny back and forth and great. I would take um, Andrew Garfield and put him in a DC EU, and I would have him go up against the Riddler. And the final one, I would put Tobey Maguire in his own HBO Max original movie, and I would put him up against Killer Croc.
See, I was not even thinking live action. I was jumping right into the comics. I chose what was it? Spiderling, aka Anna Mae Parker, who is the daughter of Peter Parker and Mary Jane, and his or her arch nemesis would be one, the Joker's daughter, and I put quotations around that because the identity of the Joker's daughter is very loose in the comics. So, play with that as you will. So, Joker's daughter would be one. The second one would probably be something like, I would say, either Lex Luthor. No, I will say Lex Luthor for the second one. And third, I would say no, not Lex Luthor. I'm gonna go generic. And because I've only really read one or two stories of her, Lena Luthor. She is a villain in the comics. So Lena Luthor would be the second one. Third one, I honestly don't know. Let's see. I would give it to let's do Cheetah. Throw in a random Wonder Woman villain right there.
Oh,
So
nice.
those three as the nemesis for Spiderling. Tony, thank you for that question. His second question, though, is what's one DCCW Earth 1 villain that you would love to appear in Stargirl or Titans? So, Travis, why don't you go first again on this one?
Oh, this was a tough one for me, to be honest with you, Clay. I'm sticking with Stargirl for the show, and I kind of wanted Reverse Flash to appear in Stargirl, but I thought about it, and it would be even cooler to have Zoom appear and Jay Garrick appear.
Ooh,
So
that would be
yeah,
fun.
that would probably be my choice. I know Zoom is now like the Black Death Flash, or that was the last time I remember seeing him anyway, like him as a Speed
Mm-hmm.
Force demon. But if he was just original Zoom that he was, I would love to see him on Earth 2 in fighting Stargirl.
All right. Well, as I've dubbed you before, Mr. CW, you're going to have to help me with my answer. Who was the B villain in the Flash? The one that had the
Ooh, she was from The Walking Dead too.
yeah. She played
Oh my
Beth in
god,
the Walking Dead.
that is
I
gonna
can't
drive
remember
me
her character
crazy.
name.
Oh, was
Like
it
I
B
want to say it was
Girl?
something as simple as like Queen Bee, but I know that's wrong.
Oh, I think that you might be right. I think Queen Bee.
Are you looking it up? Are you cheating?
No, I think Queen Bee is right.
I
I really do. I think it's Queen Bee.
okay, so I would choose Queen Bee. If I'm wrong, somebody
I'm going to
please
look that
correct
up
me.
right now. I'm going to look that up.
Well, I'm gonna dub her Queen Bee for now until you find the answer. I would choose Queen Bee, and she would also be going to Stargirl. I don't want any of the CW villains going into Titans because the show's already bad enough. Was I right? Queen Bee.
Bravo,
Woo!
my friend. Bravo.
It's been a while. Like I'm pretty sure, she has the same name in the comics, but I was just like, maybe they changed.
Brie Larvin.
Okay, yeah. So Queen Bee and Stargirl, I thought that would be kind of cool.
That's
So,
a very good choice, actually.
well, because they're like in the
She would
show,
fit
they were
in really good.
mechanical, like so you could kind of put her and Beth together with like Chuck's goggles and have it be like, something of like the mind of like who is better, what technology is better, I thought
That's a
that
good
would be kind of
choice.
cool. So yeah. But this is not the end of the show. We do have a new comics corner. So before we jump into that, let's go ahead and take our last ad break of the night, and we will be right back. And we are back. So, Teen Titans Earth 1, Volume 1. The really cool thing about these books is they are original graphic novels. This entire line of Earth 1 stories were given to creators to say, hey, do with these characters what you will. You need to just make something new of them. New origins and all of that. Really, really, really fun. But Travis is reminding me that we actually have a little bit of a giveaway, not getaway, giveaway. If I could get away right now from Titans, I think I would. But we are talking Teen Titans Earth 1. So we are going to have a giveaway.
Yes.
I will say, not very lively in the chat. So I will go ahead and punt this off to the listeners. If you've made it this far, it is an hour and 36 minutes in. The word is Teen Titans Earth 1. Hashtag Teen Titans Earth 1. If you are listening to this now, tag both of us in either a Instagram account or a Twitter account. I will say it would probably help a lot more if you are on Twitter. We are more active on Twitter. So I will put it on Twitter. Just say on Twitter, tag us both and the DC Alliance Twitter account with hashtag Teen Titans Earth 1, and you will be entered to win the first volume and the second volume. We're going to go ahead and throw them both out there for you. You will get the complete set of the Earth 1 saga for Teen Titans. I will say it's very interesting that everybody else has gotten a volume 3. Teen Titans has not gotten a volume 3 yet, I don't believe. So we shall see what happens there. But let's go ahead and talk about this book. What did you think about this book?
First time reading this, I absolutely love this book, if I'm being honest with you, Clay. I love the fact that they chose to essentially go with 4 choices, and none of them had a Bat family member in there. And it was really refreshing. Nothing was talked about with that group at all. So it's just kind of refreshing because normally when the Titans is essentially Dick's group, and it revolves around Dick in a lot of the comics and in the Titans TV show.
Yeah, there was this
really
notion.
Nice
there's this notion that I'm sure DC made very apparent back in the day that every team in DC had to have like a bad character. You had it in Teen Titans, you had it in Titans, you had it in Justice League. With the separation of a Bat character from this book, I thought was very, very interesting. They changed a lot. They changed the entire origin of all of these characters for this. I will say I wasn't a huge fan of the art, to be completely honest with you. I felt like it could have been better. I do like the cover of the first volume. I thought that looked really, really great. This is, of course, Terry Dodson on the front cover, but I don't believe he is the artist throughout the entire book. It is. It is entirely by Terry Dodson. That is very, very interesting. Doesn't really look like him, and I think it's more so because of the inks. His style Uh, Man, maybe I just like Terry Dotson as covers, maybe not just like internal. But either way, um, this book again, new origins for everybody. Um, the entire story is surrounded by the fact that Starfire is captured by this organization that we find out to be Star Labs later on. Um, every Star Lab scientist actually chose to quote unquote adopt these kids that we know as the Titans. And they were all willingly able to experiment on their own children, quote unquote, which gave them these powers. Um, really interesting. Uh, I don't know, like I like it, I really do, but like I felt that this was a little jarring. You know, there you're not hitting Titans level of like edge lord, but at the same time, like every character was like somewhat depressed on some level. Um, and you kind of it kind of showed that like they kind of knew that they didn't belong where they were. You know, they were having problems at home, which involved like which turned into having problems at school, and it was just like not great for them all around. And then all of a sudden they started to show their powers all at once. And I think that was more so because of the awakening of Starfire.
Yes, that was
That
that's
kind
what I
of
think they explained that it
yeah,
as that is the possibility. Yeah.
it kind of triggered everything. Um, I will admit we are going to be talking about volume 2 next week. I don't like I have it. I don't know if I've read it to be completely honest. So that'll be very interesting to read. Um,
I just opened this up. Wait, let me show you guys listeners.
you literally just opened it.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to get our opinions on that. I do remember reading this first volume when I first bought it. I think for one, I was just like I really like these hardcovers, so I was just gonna buy every single hardcover Earth One volume that they made. Just recently, they did release the Batman Earth One Volume 3, which of course is a uh, oh shoot, who it was Jeff Johns who did the writing, and the artist for that was I believe the same individual that did like Doomsday Clock and all of that. I can't remember off the top of my head. Anyway, Teen Titans. Uh, I really do want to know more about Raven's character. She is from the Navajo tribe, which is very, very different from the reiteration of Raven that we get in main continuity of comics. Her powers seem to be more based on um, more of a religious base and all of that, which is kind of cool. Um, and she is the furthest character apart from all of these other characters, but she is so well connected to them, which is also very interesting because we do see spoilers. Starfire does in fact escape, and she kind of just like flies off. She leaves all the other Teen Titans, and they're kind of just all confused. They're like, are you kidding me? Like we came in here to rescue you, and then you just leave us. Like this seemed completely pointless. Well, like
Well,
what the hell is going on?
Tara has the biggest reaction, saying like she used us. She used us,
Yeah,
and it's great.
which is why I'm so intrigued to read the second volume, because how do they reconcile with that? You know, like learning all that they learned about their lives, you know, learning that they were basically test tube babies, in a sense, not necessarily. Um, and then to risk their lives to save this individual only to just be like left in the dust. Like I'm interested to see how everything connects at the end of the next volume. But like Cyborg, instead of being in a horrible accident and being consumed by Mother Box energy, he is literally becoming like a synthezoid. and it is like organic. Um, this whole metal that is consuming him. I thought that was very, very interesting.
It was super
Um,
cool. He's also a super asshole.
yes, and and
As
and
in
that's
his
what I
day to
mean
day
by
life.
like this isn't like HBO Max Titans like
No,
level, but all of these characters are jerks.
minus
Like
Gar.
yes, like I feel
Gar's
like
just
Gar
nice.
is probably the closest to, well, honestly, if you really think about it, Tara and Gar are probably closest to what they are in main continuity comics.
Yeah,
Tara has a horrible history in comics. She does not have the greatest life ever. But Garfield, we see that like he had a loving family. He was living a pretty much normal life, and it seemed that his fathers were really enjoying being parents. And we saw that when one of his dads went to Star Labs to confront everybody and was like, well, I can't do this. I'm not going to put Gar in the middle of this. And that's when Cyborg's mom was just like, yeah, no,
mom.
mom, quote unquote, was saying, hey, you know what? I can't have you messing up everything, so you're dead. And shoots him point blank straight in the freaking forehead. Like, I was like, okay. Like she really did that. And she was like they wrote her well in the sense of I hated her. I hated her throughout
Very
the
Amanda
entire
Waller
thing.
like.
Very much so, like to the point of like when freaking oh my gosh, I'm forgetting Cyborg's real name.
Vic.
Yeah, when Vic confronted her about like what's going on with his body, she's like, freaking finally, what's wrong with you? I was waiting for this to happen. She, like, since the beginning of the book, she is just cold. She
Oh
is
yeah.
like, she doesn't care about Vic. She doesn't care about anybody except for this Joseph character. And we learn that Joseph was like an inside agent the entire time. Which, I
Slade
mean,
Wilson's son.
yeah, which is Slade Wilson's son, quote unquote. Because they,
Worst Slade Wilson costume ever.
oh, I did not like the tactical freaking, like he looked like, it looked like the same suit that the Avengers went into the quantum realm to go
He
back
looked
in
like he
time.
blind in Power Rangers in space.
That's a good one. But like it did not look very great. And like they, oh, I'm actually looking at it right now. The suit. Yeah, it is not looking great
No.
whatsoever. But like in this book, usually in almost every reiteration of the story, Tara and Gar have some sort of relationship. In this one, it was Cyborg and Tara. Vic and Tara had that relationship going. Um, but really, that's really it. There's nothing really too much with this issue other than what we've said. There are little cameos at the very end. We do see Tempest, who is uh, in normal canonical comics is an Atlantean,
Yes,
and
he's trapped.
he what?
He's trapped in a
Yeah, he
stasis
so
chamber.
he's an Atlantean in main comics, so he lives underwater. Here, he looks like some sort of aquatic animal, and they like give him a helmet, and they're like, "Hey, like this is the only way you'll survive." And then they save him when they escape Star Labs at the very end of the book. Um, oh, you're oh yeah, and then that was actually really really fun.
This is what
There,
it. Wait, where's my finger? Okay, wait, okay.
I knew you were going to say something about this.
Yeah, I was just like, because I really, listeners, I really enjoyed this entire first volume. I don't know about the second one, but there's no Robin in this. We've said it before. It was refreshing, but there is a painting in the cave with Raven and her grandmother, that
grandfather.
grandfather, sorry, uh, that shows all kinds of symbols of different heroes, including the Flash emblem, uh, the Raven, and a bat symbol. So I assume that's for Robin because it's a
Yeah,
smaller
so it
bat
has
symbol.
it has a bat symbol. It has the star for Starfire. It has the fox cat thing that is, of course, supposed to be Garfield changing into different animals. It has a diamond, which I have no clue
I
who the
thought
diamond.
Destro, but that's only because of Stargirl.
There is a fish who I would believe is Tempest. Now there's an eye. I would believe either the eye is connected to Brother Eye. Um, but if that is like technology based, it could be Blue Beetle. But I would honestly think they would just put a beetle if it was Blue Beetle. But then, of course, you get the Thunderbolt, which of course is Kid Flash. You get the Rock, which is Terra. The sword, I'm not entirely sure who the sword would be, though.
If Deathstroke joins their team, I can see it being him, maybe.
I feel like that would be kind of weird, though.
Or
Like,
maybe it's actually no, I got it. It is Deathstroke, but it's because of what happens at the end of this book where Jericho is uh, Deathstroke cuts Jericho's neck, his son, and then tells Jericho to take over his body.
oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
I
that's probably
mean,
why the
I
sword
would
is
love
there.
to see if there's any kind of like interviews with Jeff Lemire talking about what he wanted to do
Yeah.
with this book, because I could see there being like an issue of like, hey, maybe there wasn't enough sales with this book, so we're discontinuing it.
Oh, for
But
sure.
but for people who don't know, there was supposed to be a Flash and an Aquaman Earth One Volume One, and they were going to make an entire Justice League out of these books. If you don't know, there is a Superman with 3 volumes. There is now a Batman with 3 volumes. There's a Wonder Woman with 3 volumes, and there is a Green Lantern with 2 volumes currently. And I think they're working on a third one. So they are on their way of making a Justice League team, kind of, but I don't know if they are really trying to push these books or not. Um, I would be interested in seeing more of this Teen Titans team. Like I said, we are going to be reviewing the second volume next week. And I would say that the giveaway for both volumes will be when we finish the volume 2 comics corner. So next
Yeah.
week as well. So everybody who is listening, remember, go to Twitter, tag us in a post. I am
And be
at Fanboy
sure.
Clay. Travis is at Travis underscore 156. And then, of course, remember to tag the DC Alliance Twitter account as well to be entered into that. And remember, the hashtag is Teen Titans Earth 1.
And tune in live next week. There may be another way to enter before we draw for the 2 books.
Yes, of course. And
Maybe something with the live chat listeners.
just like we do every Monday night, it is 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time that we go live. But with that, I believe that is the show.
Yes,
Of
sir.
course,
We
you can
got
always
through
find me.
Lazarus.
Yeah, barely. Of course, you can find me at Fanboy Clay on Twitter. I have a link tree with all of the links to all of the shows that I host, that including DC Alliance, Batman News Weekly, Comic Book Legion podcast, Weird Science DC podcast, Weird Science Marvel podcast, Weird Science Manga podcast, and of course the Ranger Alliance podcast. 7 shows for 7 days of the week.
One
There
more.
is up. It's not announced yet. Don't say
Oh.
it. Don't say it. I will say I kind of gave a tease for Ranger Alliance, which is coming out next week, but Travis also gave a small little thing here, which is okay. We're going to have something in the works. It is not officially announced, but again, what would my life be without just one more show? Where can they find you, Travis?
You can find me on Twitter at Travis underscore 156. You can drop me a line and we can chat about DC anytime. You won't find me on as many shows as Clay. That is for certain. You can find me on Superhero Discussions. This week is the last week for DC animated reviews. I'm going to do Son of Batman, Batman vs. Robin, and Batman Bad Blood, because apparently in 6 DC animated movies, Clay, 3 of them are Batman titles.
Yep.
So yeah, that's the logic of we'll put out one non-Batman movie and one Batman movie. So you gotta love that kind of logic. Put out 4 movies and maybe one of them be Batman instead of just one movie a year, and every half year is not a Batman movie. Come on. I love Batman as much as the next person, but we'll be back with Rick and Morty. Joe will definitely be joining me for that, so that'll be fun. That's it for the shows I'm on. So also, lately I've been joining Marvel Alliance for their What If segments. I will
Oh
be back
yeah.
for it on Wednesday too. So check that out as well.
All right, and we will see you guys next week.
Later, everyone.